Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I'd like to give you my first impressions to the H1Z1 Early Access on Steam. Now the simplest way to explain this game to somebody who's not familiar with it is that it's an open world, multiplayer zombie survival game. You start off in the middle of nowhere, quite literally, have to figure out your bearings, get food, survive, potentially meet up with friends, possibly make enemies, and basically just make your way through this post-apocalyptic world. And if you want to stay off the main lanes of traffic, you can certainly run into the middle of the forest where you'll have to contend with bears and wolves and other things of that nature. However, cities are vital for acquiring supplies that you might need. Food, water, clothing, backpacks, all that stuff. You're going to find most of it in cities. You can definitely find it in the outskirts if you look hard enough, but the good stuff is in the cities, and that's also where usually some of the more criminal players hang out. Without question, this game isn't going to appeal to everyone. The risk-reward system is extreme. If you die in this game, you lose all of your progress, all of your stuff. It's all about acquiring things, weapons, food, gadgets, whatever. If somebody kills you, they can take everything you have on your person. You respawn back in the middle of nowhere with nothing. And because the game has a realistic damage model, it only takes one gunshot to take you out of the picture. It's kind of frustrating when you're trying to play the good player, helping other people out, banding together, and then somebody with a gun comes along, kills all of you, and takes your hours worth of work. That can definitely be a moment where you have to take a step back, take a break from the game, and think about if you even want to come back to it. On one occasion where I was trying to play the good guy, I was killed by a guy with a shotgun in a city. No words were exchanged, he saw me, shot me, took all my stuff. It's pretty much the way this game can go at times. When I respawned with nothing, I saw another player with a bow and arrow. I immediately dashed for him, had a fist fight, ended up killing him, and then took all his stuff. So it turned out that right away playing the not so good, not so nice character can be one of the more rewarding paths. And that's really one of the most interesting aspects of this game, is it's kind of an online social experiment. How do groups of people function? Do you want to be a loner? Do you want to group up, be stronger in numbers? What happens when one player gets a gun? How does the power dynamics change within that group? Guns are the ultimate form of power in this game. If you have one, you can pretty much kill anyone at will, so it becomes very interesting and very dicey at times. Now let's talk a little bit about the early access and the way that Sony has set up the payment model for this game. First of all, there's kind of an interesting dilemma here. The game is going to be a free-to-play game, yet the early access costs about $20 to get into, and if you want the premium version, you can spend something around $36. So it poses a very interesting dilemma. Not only are you paying for a very early version of this game, which is certainly buggy, but it's also going to be free to play when it finally comes out. So you're paying to play an early version of a very buggy game, help beta test it, and it's going to be free to everybody else when it finally launches. Kind of a weird system, and I frankly don't really understand what SOE is doing with this. In fact, it does make you question whether or not a free-to-play model actually works with a zombie survival game. Because the way that they have it now, there's something called supply drops in the game, which allows you to pay money to have an airplane fly overhead, drop out a supply crate which is loaded with backpacks, AR-15s, food, all kinds of things that's going to give you a huge advantage in the game. This is a bit upsetting because it really does promote a pay-to-win style of playing the game. Rather than working hard to acquire all the gear in the game, you can just pay a couple bucks, get everything you want, then go kill some people in the world who have actually spent hours and hours and hours working hard to gain what they have. I would much rather just pay a flat fee for the game and have everybody start off with the exact same attributes. Now when I first got into the game, I was in the middle of the forest, running around, kind of lost, figuring out how to do things, and you figure out very quickly that there's a lot of blackberry bushes all over the place. You can pick blackberries very easily. You just hit E, your player acquires them. You can hold over 100 on your person, and every time you eat one, it replenishes your hydration and health ever so slightly. So you can eat a whole bunch of blackberries to kind of keep your character alive. Unfortunately, you go through your food and hydration extremely quickly. I mean, I was at the point where you would raid like 5 houses, have to open up your inventory. Oh look, you're down like 30% in food and hydration. Really? The metabolism of your character in this game is absolutely insane, and it keeps you basically having to constantly hunt and forage for food, which is kind of cool, but it doesn't allow you to focus on some of the other elements of the game, like say building and trying to create structure monsters or maybe even hunting other players. A full bottle of purified water really doesn't keep you going that long in this game, and it's frustrating because it takes up a significant portion of your inventory, especially early on in the game. If there's one thing that I wish they had balanced better at launch, it's how much food you need to stay alive. At this point, it's a ridiculous amount. Just to do a little bit of traveling or hiking around or scavenging, you need to eat a ton of food and water. Unfortunately, I'm not really crazy about the inventory system either. I think it kind of takes you out of the element when you have this super realistic environment with not a lot of heads-up display stuff going on, and then you bring up this inventory with a grid system and you have to kind of organize things differently, and they have weight, and you have to move your water bottle to your belt, and then this back to your backpack, and then something to your shirt pockets and your pant pockets. It's a lot of micromanagement that I feel like this game doesn't really need that much. Another gripe is that you never find guns and ammo in the same location. It's actually unreal. You'll find like a gun hidden in a desk drawer somewhere, a handgun for example. It's never ever loaded. You have to find that ammo somewhere else. It'll never be in the same building, usually not even in the same town. Aside from this not being particularly realistic, it's really annoying when guns are such a powerful force in this game, and that anybody wielding one has a massive advantage over somebody without one. So making guns so hard to find, plus the ammo, is really kind of a hard learning curve for anyone getting into the game. I also haven't come across any maps that you can pick up and basically take with you, or even a compass. This again makes it very difficult to navigate and try and meet up with friends. Now, just like in real life, looting can be a tedious process, and it can also be frustrating, especially if you're, say, looting a suburban neighborhood that somebody has just looted 10 minutes before you got there. Unfortunately, there's no indication whether or not a house has been looted. Sometimes the doors are open, sometimes they're not, but when you get inside, if a kitchen has been looted, there's literally no way to tell. Cabinets don't remain open, desk drawers don't remain open. It would be kind of cool if there was an animation for opening cabinets and desk drawers, and once you looted something, it stayed open. So if somebody came in there, they could see that something's already been looted, and they don't need to worry about trying to find more items. Now let's talk a little bit about the bugs in the game currently. It is a pre-release, so I'm not judging the final product, but naturally a lot of people are going to be interested in, say, buying into the pre-release, so you may as well know that there's quite a few issues with the game currently. First of all, on multiple occasions I saw a massive vehicle desyncing issue. I'd be playing with, say, Matimio, and he would see my truck that I was driving in one place, and I would be in a totally different place. We both had to log out and log back in for it to reset the location. Sometimes this caused the truck to actually fly through the air. Once we had the truck launch Tommy into an entirely different area of the map, and the truck exploded and we just lost it, and that was a weird desyncing issue. Really frustrating considering how valuable vehicles can be in this game. We also had the issue of water bottles bugging out. I could no longer fill them up with water, which is kind of a big issue for hydration in this game. It's pretty much a game-breaking bug at this point. Zombies also don't really act right. I thought they were going to be more challenging, but they don't really seem to react to you in a realistic way, and having melee combat with them is very laggy and buggy. Footstep sounds are also extremely loud. You can hear people coming from hundreds of feet away, even if they're walking in the grass. This can be really annoying, especially if somebody's trying to hunt you down. They know exactly where you are. There doesn't seem to really be a tiptoe mechanic in the game. Car physics are also pretty janky. It's very easy to flip your car in a way that doesn't seem too realistic. That being said, for an early access pre-release, the game only crashed once in about 5 to 6 hours of gameplay, so that's not too bad all things considering. The crash was pretty annoying though, and it took me quite a while to get back to desktop. Graphically, the game is unfortunately very boring looking. The draw distance isn't as far as you would like it to be. The fidelity of the visuals aren't that great. The lighting isn't great. The texturing isn't great. It just kind of looks like a game that was maybe made 5 years ago. This probably won't be an issue for many people, as I'm sure we're all concerned more with the gameplay than the graphics, but if you look at something like The Last of Us, which has a beautifully rendered post-apocalyptic world, it really makes you think how much better this game could have actually been and how much more immersive it could look. Anyway, if you're thinking about getting into it, be forewarned, it is a very frustrating game. It's not fair. People with guns will kill you. There's nothing you can do about it. And you're probably going to have a few table flip moments. The last bit that I played it, I said I'm never playing this game again. And now, of course, I find myself eating my words as I want to get back on and try out some new stuff. I hope this gives you guys a good enough idea about what the game is right now, what you can get from it, and whether or not you actually want to become an early access member. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.